Stream is up and going online. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Amberskies and I'm Blades. Determining quality of stream. Okay, I'll let that get on with that. In the meantime, we will get on with what we're going to discuss today, which is role-playing games and the data that you use when designing RPGs, whether it be MMO or just single-player role-playing games. I have a little bit of experience with these kind of things, probably an understatement. And let's have a look, see what information I've got here. Oh, we've got how to create the spreadsheets and everything here. Alright. Plenty of information here. Right, let's get the pad thingy. There we go. Pad thingy is in... not working, is it? Oh, God. Oh, maybe it is. Alright, yeah, it is, but it's just been on delay for some reason. What's that bit right? Interesting. Something's not right there. Mischief. Come to daddy. Come to daddy. Here we are. File. Open. Twitch. Open. Opens in the correct mode. And we seem to have control over it. Oh, lovely. Radio. Just bring that back up again, I think. Alright. I'll keep that there, because I need to talk about it. Right, what are we doing today? We are doing RPG game data. So let's get a heading up. It helps if I use a pen. Let's see. So this is RPG game data. Okay. And this here, no level system. Yes, we shall repeat. No level system. And there's a big reason for that. Big reason for that. And we're going to talk about that straight away. So there we go. That's what we're on today. Lovely. So what is RPG game data? Role-playing games need data. I haven't even spelt it right, have I? Date. Where's me R? R. Data. Is that right? Oh, it's data. Oh, God. I'm an idiot. Helps if we spell it right, because it's another A. That's an A, lads. So, RPG game data. What's it all about? It's about the mechanics of the avatar, the character that you play, what it is allowed to do and what it is not allowed to do, or finds hard doing. There's two things you can do here. You can have a level system, which is progressive difficulty, but in actuality, each level is just, that you attain, is just balanced at that level. then you go to the next level and it's balanced at that level. All that changes, usually, is the look of the creature that you are hitting and the abilities that the creature you are hitting having. There is supposed to be some kind of progressive difficulty, but in actuality there isn't. Simple as. Either people try and gain equipment that is better than their level to make their level easy, or they just find it a grind and slog it through to try and get to the next level. Now, why the hell does anybody want to do that? Who invented that system? D&D is the answer. I can tell you that for starters, because D&D came from something called chainmail. And chainmail was a tabletop board game. And it involved lots and lots of people crashing through dungeons, trying to kill, mythical monsters like dragons and stuff. And you would be in control of a unit of about 10 people. And if one of those 10 people survived, you'd calculated their experience and see if they went up a level, so that next time they may be a leader of a squad and be able to survive better. And eventually, if you used about 100 people and you played like 30 games, 100 people, 10 games, then you might get a hero status. If you played another, like a hero could actually stand alone as a unit, instead of needing all those men around him. And beyond that, your character could get to level 9, which was Lord, and you would then be granted a piece of countryside, and you could do what you wanted with your tower, build a kingdom. That was the game in those days. D&D took that down to the individual level and gave each individual like a set of hit points and started people off with more than one hit point, because that's how they used to be. It used to be just one hit point per person that ran into that dungeon. And at that point it became and about third level it becomes survivable. Your character starts fleshing out and the game starts becoming survivable, and you can progress up the levels up to about level 16, I think it was, which was just like ridiculous power levels. But what happened was, you could see it, the idea of going up levels was so that you could make more powerful parties and defeat more powerful opponents. And that was the whole idea of it, and go on adventures and stuff. And that was the beginning of role-playing games, really. I think it was the change from chainmail to what was then Dungeons and Dragons, which wasn't really advanced or basic. The advanced and basic came a bit later. Basic D&D is actually worth playing, because there's not too much of a level system in that. And this level system business carried on into computer games, which is fine. The idea of a level and progressing to the next level and wanting to progress to the next level is what drove the game, and has been driving games for years, because they haven't got any other ideas. Make sure that your player can't do something until the next level. It's artificial, it doesn't make sense, and what the heck is really going on? A good example there is one of the new games that's coming out, where you can actually be dropped into an area that is high level on a basic mission, which you've then got next to no chance of completing, because you're like a one-shot wonder in that area. The first thing that sees is just going to kill you. And that's where the problems of level systems begin. They all begin with you have to balance your game at every single level, or every 5 levels, I think they do, really. I don't think they bother with the in-between ones, to be quite honest with you. I don't think they're that interested. There you go, that's game data and level systems. Why the hell would you want that to be the centre of your game? The objective of your game is to get to the highest level. Well, how do you... What do you do in your next game? You just... Well, all you do is you bolt it onto your first game and make it higher level still. And then everybody has to go through the grind process again of getting to the next highest level with all the next highest gear. And I think you're starting to see which game I'm talking about and what a rip-off that is. You're not developing anything new, is what I'm trying to say. Level games restrict your development team, they restrict your player base, and they restrict the game. Level systems become the game if you use one. You have no choice in that matter. You use a level system, well, that's your game. It doesn't matter what you write around it, the players won't care. You could do a beautiful job of making all of this lovely land and scenery, but the players won't care because it's all level 1. And they won't see it for very long. They'll just pass through it and go to the next area to get to level 3, level 2, level 3. And that's horrific. That is a horrific waste of time. Which is why they have beginner areas for usually level 1 and 2. Because they're a waste of space. Literally. So why have them? What's the point in level 1 and 2 if there's nothing there? It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. So, there's a lot of things about level systems that don't make sense. There's one thing about a level system that does make sense. It's easy to program. And that's it. Because it's the core of your game. You just make your core the level system. And the level system is so easy to do. It's untrue. You amount so many XP, you go up a level. That's it. And then all you do is do a checklist of things that you gain at each level. And voila, there's your game. Go off and play it. No game data at all. And that will be your game data. What happens if you take your level system away? What happens? All of a sudden, oh God, we've actually got to start making characters. Yes, you then need something called a character sheet. Which these level systems do display, but they're worthless, because they're just a bunch of stats, which don't mean anything. They're just a bunch of meaningless stats, because you're not really bothered about them until you get to top level, and then you've got to meet the requirements of the society that you play within to be able to go and play with them. It's divisive. But if you don't have a level system, you need a character sheet, or character sheets. Put it in plural, because there's 2 versions of this. There is one version... Okay, let's put the versions in. The first version is the one that the computer uses, or the program uses, I should say, I think, really. Which is just a bunch of, well, numbers. or stats. And version 2 is what the player sees. Right, in version 2, there are no stats. You can't give the player stats. As soon as you do that, you've wrecked your game. Because all the player will care about is the stats on their character. You can give them alternatives, but you can't give them stats. You can tell them what skills they've trained in. In fact, version 2 should just be a training sheet. It should just be like a log. Yeah, I think that version 2 is probably better being called a training sheet. Because that's really what it's going to represent if you take the stats away. A training sheet, which is literally a log of development. So when you show your physical strength, the only thing you can show about it is how much training time you've put into it, or how many points you put into it. So XP, experience points, which you get in all of these leveling games, become spendable. Character starts with a pool of XP, say 10, 20, whatever, 100, who cares, and spends the XP on their character as training points, what they want to train in. And they're then scheduled for training, and as they are trained in, they come up on their character sheet as progressions. So your character sheet will start off very bare indeed. What your character can do is absolutely anything it wants to. If it wants to pick up a sword and fight with it, it can. If he wants to pick up a shield and defend himself with it, the character or avatar can. If they want to wear armour, they can. If they want to cast magic, they're going to have to find out how to. Getting magical abilities at level 1, innate and magical abilities. Well, you can, but you're still going to have to work out how to use them. So, at the beginning of a character, this is going to be very, very bare. The character will probably start with a log similar to this. Oops. Character's log, stardate. You can make that joke as well. So your character's log would initially look like brawling, hand-to-hand combat. What else would you have? And fitness. Or a special thing for the race, because you'd have 3 races. You'd have race 1, 2 and 3. 1, 2 and 3. And the second part in the log would be increase. If you take race 1, you get increased let's say strength. T in there somewhere. You take race 2. Take race 2, increased dexterity. I need race 1, race 2, and race 3. So there you go. I've got 3 races already, and it's very, very simple to do. Increase intelligence, we'll call it. I'm just picking out ones from way, way, way back, so I can't get sued. So you'd have hand-to-hand combat, race 1, 2, and 3. That would be your log. Okay. Under your abilities, you would have a log like that that is separate from abilities. You would have knowledge, X, Y, and Z, Y, and possibly Z or something, I don't know. You just have like knowledges. Now what the player does with those knowledges, they can research them. Any kind of knowledge you can research. These can be trained. Can you see there's a difference? So you've got 2 types now of area where you can expand your character. So you're going to need a research area and a training area. How the character builds eventually is up to the player. It should not be up to the programmer. Will there be one build that is better than any other? No, because nobody will know anybody else's build. Because it's impossible to know from those logs and abilities what other people have achieved. There's no numbers in there. So if you train dexterity, after X amount of time, on this line here, the next free line, it will just come up as increased dexterity. And if you carry on doing dexterity, it'll come up as increased dexterity, increased dexterity, increased dexterity. They'll never give you a value. The values are all held here in version 1. There. And the player just sees what they've completed or achieved. Everything they achieve within the game should be logged. And their abilities should be set to one side and be able to be researched. You might have a research bench or a library or something where you go to, and your knowledges will then come up and you can assign research to them. You can use very simple or artificial means, or you can use time. Time to do things. And there's 2 thoughts in this. If you use an artificial way of doing it, people can gain power quickly. and can become efficient in one thing very quickly. But if you're using a spending of EXP points, you can assign that to an amount of time. And there's a lot of time between logins, usually, unless somebody's logged in all the time. And you can use that time to increase your character. You can give value to your avatar being able to do things like research and development whilst you are not logged in, giving it a feeling of persistence, reality. It carries on. You might log out, but your avatar doesn't. That's the value that you want to try and instill within the player. And that's what this system can do. For research, go take a look at EVE Online versus, let's see, an artificial one would be Ultima Online. Because that's increased by doing system and can be abused massively. I know because I run the server. And I abuse it massively. No. So I think we're kind of covered on that. Let's have a look at programming this. But that's going to... Blades. You're off your rocker. That's going to be like masses and masses and masses of data to do something like that. Actually, it's very little. It's very little. Yeah. It's just hardly any. Let's see if I've got... well, we'll use Qt Creator again. Why not? I've got this hooked up to Git, so... Here we go. We've done Vulkan. We've got Windows SFML. Last session we ended properly. And we need a new project. Now for this project, I am going to take the widgets application 100%. Because I would use widgets for this. So this would be more of a display type idea. So I'm going to choose that. We'll call it RPG. And we'll stick it back in our research. Next. Desktop. Yeah, we've got the same problems as last time, and I have not fixed this because I'm lazy. Yeah, it's going to go there, isn't it? I really should fix this. You can. It's in the options menus. RPG, yeah, we'll have that. I've got a delay on my computer. Help. Why have I got a delay on my computer? Am I being accessed? I've got Twitch is at 660 and it's receiving 5,000. That's okay there. Ah, I seem to have a lot in use. Okay, fair enough. Probably because I started, I started Windows within. Whoops. So put you to profile. And we'll put you to release. RPG profile, RPG release, RPG debug next. Okay. Yeah, next. Git, yes please. I've got something open here that I shouldn't have. And I think it's you. Alright. it needs to come up, and we run our program. Yeah, it's looking alright. There you go, you got a menu window. That's what it looks like. Yeah, that's looking alright. Just checking through what I've got open. Okay. Right, okay. No, that sounds alright. What I would do, I would probably do something like this. New folder. And new folder is just going to be SOURCE, as usual. Let's get this back down here, get the pen out of the way before the cat plays with it and breaks it. I have a lovely cat. In source, we can make add new class. No, I don't really want to add a new class. Cancel. Source will put data. Add new folder. Data. And here we can add. Should we add it as a new class? Even. No, I don't think so. Just put in a header file for now, or a CPP file. CPP file, choose. We're just going to call this character sheet. No, we're not. Yes, we are. There we go. Finish. And there we have it. We have now got a character sheet. File system projects. There we go. Put it back. It's just I can't really work very well in this view. I do apologise. So here we have a character sheet. The first thing you would do, obviously, is namespace it off. So 5 here. You should. And we'll just use a namespace RPG. So it needs one to remember. And here we can have attributes. And we can have probably about there's 2 sets of attributes, isn't there? Yeah. So we've got main, which will probably be 4. And oops, put semicolon after it or it'll complain. Then we've got things, then we'll have attributes. I don't know how many there will be in secondary. It all depends on you how many you want. We'll put 10 in for now. Seems like a round number. So, how easy is this to do? It's as easy as this, really. And for this one, I'm just going to use 9. Well, what's half of 18? Because it's a 3 to 18. 9. So I'm going to give them a start and halfway point here. 9. 9. So that's your main attributes done. Your secondary attributes. will equal well, the first two I know. So the first two are going to be 9, 9, because those will be secondary attributes. That's going to be health and mana, or whatever, however you want to put it. Hit points and spell points. So we'll give 9 and 9 on those as well. We've got loads more, which I wonder if I've got calculations for these. I might have. Right, okay. So that next one starts, well, you can just put all the rest to -1, couldn't you? Or 0. Actually, that's a bad way of doing this. We'll do this instead. That. And there's only 2 stats I know at the moment, so we will put... I've got calculations for the rest. Attributes. Secondary. I'm not actually writing this in any kind of language either. So 0 equals 9. That's what I haven't put on these, is it? Are we going to have ints or floats? Floats. If you've got any sense, you'd use floats. Or float. And that puts that to 0.0f. There's a reasons for choices. You've got to start choosing very, very early on how you're going to deal with these stats. And as this is stats can be progressed, and they can be progressed in fractions of by training points over time. Well, there we go. Yeah. We'll have you as a float, and that makes you 0.0f. That puts you to 9.0f. Lovely. C++ requires a specifier for all decorated. What? Yeah, right. Okay. Attributes. Don't care what C++ wants. Number 1 will equal 9.0f. So, because I know what those are. So here, as a note, I'm just going to put strength, dex, int, health. Here I'm going to put, I'll call it fatigue, or hit points. There's a reason I call it fatigue, and I'll call that mana for now because I've got no other way of calling it. Right, I'm calling it fatigue because when you've lost all of that, you are defeated. Not dead, defeated. How you use your fatigue is up to you. If you're a spellcaster, you use it to cast spells. Think about that. Yeah, that's unconscious stage. And then you can add other things as needed. So, let's try and add something else. no previous extern declaration for non-static variable. What is it trying to say? Oh, it just wants me to declare them static. Thank you. Well, I can't have them static. I don't want them static. So, stuffy you C++. I know what it wants me to do. It wants me to write a header file. But I'm trying to explain this rather than anything else. You're not using exactly a lot of memory doing this. Where would you hold it in memory? You can hold it directly on the stack. That's dangerous. But you can hold a copy of it on the stack if you wanted to. Because what you want to really do at the end of the day is write a data pool like this for initial data. When you start the game, that initial data comes up and is saved out as a character sheet instantly at the start of the game. Characters placed in the world and then just left to his own devices, and the character sheet will change of its own accord. That's how you want this to work. So the amount of data that you put in here is not really going to be a lot. There will be a... we can do that, can't we? You'd need vectors, and that would be inclusive of skills. And they're all floats as well, so it's float. Yeah, everything's a bloody float. I've just realised. Yeah, so you'd have a vector, and that would be a float. You've got a choice whether to keep it here or send it away. It's floats, for God's sake. It's never going to be massive, is it? You can get up to about 60. 60 times 4. No, it's not that big. And that would be skills. You can have the other one, because there is another one, vector, floats, and that's equals magic. Then you'll need an std vector float. These are maps, I've just realised. Yeah. So skills, magic, and abilities, I'll call it. I think that's the best way of putting it. And I think they're all maps. Well, let's take a look. If I design a map on that. Oh, I've done it again with that E, haven't I? If I design a map, you would go something like this. And it would be int, comma, float. Int being the skill table, skill. So over here, int equals the skill table, and float equals level in skill. There you go, there's levels there. So I just called it level. But so I'm probably gonna go that way, I think. I'm gonna transfer this into an actual file and not just rough outlining stuff. I'll do the same with all of these. I mean, it's obvious really when you think about it. Anything else I'm going to need? Right, so all I can really say is others are... let's have a look at a list, a quick list. Damage type 1. Damage... I'll do it downwards, I don't care. Yeah, damage type 2. Whatever types of damage you think are relevant. It's usually for swords, cut and thrust, maybe. Something like that. Guns would all come under penetration or thrust. Well, actually, they'd have their own damage type, wouldn't they? They would hold a damage on them as an item. So that's for hand to hand. Cut and thrust. So that's H, TH. Make sure I tell people which one it is. H to H. And you're going to be yeah, we'll call it cut and thrust. Cut and thrust. Because people know what that is. That's Errol Flynn, one of my heroes. I like Errol Flynn. Actually, yeah. You might want to store damage. So there's a couple. Yeah, it goes on the character sheet. So fatigue damage. Damage taken. Here we'd have mana. Could call it damage taken. Yeah, because it is damage taken. Attack of them on the mind. Maybe. It depends on your role-playing system. What else have we got? So we've got movement. Basic. And... If you've got movement basic, the next one down will be actual move speed. Okay. Because that one there would be movement basic minus encumbrance. So that's volatile. That's changeable. Okay. So that's movement. And we will need encumbrance for that, won't we? An encumbrance value. Better put that one in here then. encumbrance level. Do I have calculations to back all these up? Yes, I do. How many have we got so far? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh God, we're nearly out of slots here. Because the next two are needed as well. You need a passive defense. And so if you've got passive defense, you need shield / cover defense. How much you're going to get from cover in a firefight, maybe. Using shields in melee combat and in a firefight. I believe there's actually a game out that does that with one. It's a pathetically stupid idea. Because riot shields just ain't made like for that. Bullets. So if you've got passive defense and you've got a shield and cover defense, you need total defense, don't you? Yeah. Might be something else in there. Then we come to the active defences. Well, that's up to the player hand, that's up to input. But they have to then give a value. So if somebody presses the dodge button whilst in combat, you need to know the value of that dodge. It's not automatic. It's not you can have an automatic dodge if you want. That's who uses that? Guild Wars 2. There you go. Got good memory today. I'm glad I actually got myself some black bubbly burpee liquid. So yeah, we're now starting, as you can see, secondary attributes. You can have an awful lot of data stored here. You don't want the people who play the game to know anything about any of this. You don't want to start giving them statistics. Oh my God. They would max every single statistic, and if they worked out how dodge worked, they would never be able to be hit. So your dodging system, you could take out from statistics and actually make it into something like Guild Wars 2's made their dodging system. So I'm still going to put it in as a stat. But what you do with it, so it's active defense, isn't it? Dodge. There's a lot of these, I'm sorry about this, but you do need a lot of data. You need a lot to think about when you are doing a role-playing game, especially when it comes to combat, because a heck of a lot of things will affect combat and should affect combat. But nowadays, our computers are so fast. Dodge, parry, and block. Those are your three active defences. You can either dodge, parry, or block. If you want to do that with a bullet, you want to parry it, fine. Go ahead. Armour. We need to note that. So we need a... yeah, I'll call it armour. I may as well because it's understandable. And I'll spell it the American way. Armour. Damage. Resist. That's how much damage it absorbs. Yes. So, yeah. You can see how you could make some brilliant NPCs and bosses out of this already. We've missed one here. STD : map. No, it is a vector this time, isn't it? No, it's still a map. And it's another int float. Int string. I think we've got a string, folks. Finally, we've got something we can use. No, because we can use the int side to that. Yeah. Good. Thank God for that. And that's possessions. Equipment. Items carried. Backpack. Yeah. And you could also include using this. Actually, backpack is a bit no, I'm going to go with possessions. I'm arguing with myself again, aren't I? I always do this when I'm trying to design. Can include what is worn, I guess, to make it easier, so you don't need another one. Okay, damage resistance. I'm running out of things. Oh God, yes. Thing that is always forgotten. It should be an initial reaction modifier for encounters. If you encounter orcs and you are wearing a dark hood, you have glowy red eyes, and your daggers that you are holding out are dripping in poison, those orcs are going to say, "Oh, hello." They're not going to run up and attack. Yeah. And yeah. But if you meet a bunch of orcs and you're wearing big shiny plate with a big blazing sun on your shield and a shiny sword, they're going to think twice about attacking you and probably run away. Unless there's a brave one there who will instantly just go, "Kill him!" and they all charge. There's different initial reaction modifiers for encounters, and that can be built into a beautiful system, very simple system on 3D6. That's what the systems I use. I think I've nearly covered everything. I've got abilities, haven't I? Yeah. That covers that. Yeah. That actually covers a hell of a lot of abilities. Magic, skills. Magic and skills are similar. Yeah, so all you need is a table for magic, a table for skills, a table for abilities, and a table for possessions or items. You can have multiple tables. That could be a table of tables, and probably would be a table of tables. So that would point to a table. So you'd have a table of tables. Because when it comes to possessions and equipment, there are so many. It's ridiculous. You can add so many. But you can also restrict at the beginning of the game how many there are and let the players invent the rest. I mean, that would be my favourite way of doing it. Let them make the world. If they want daggers in the world, let them make them. Don't put them in the world for them. God, start them off as cave muppets. Give them a cave to live in and a stick to bash things with. Don't give them anything. Let them design the world. Oh, that's nice. Oh, that is nice. So yeah, I think we're getting to the stage now. Oh, I don't really need that open, do I? We're getting to the stage now where we've got a comprehensive idea of everything that we need. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we'll have 20. Yeah, I had to do that one quick. Have we got anything else I've missed? Of course I have. Right, the top of a character sheet is int player ID. Actually, that's a uint. Don't tell me I haven't got uints. Oh, thank God for that. Uint player ID. You would have, believe it or not, I'm not using that one now, am I? No, I'm not. We'll change this one to string. Yeah, I'm actually going to put a string in here. One string. It's not very useful, but hey ho. String. There's going to be 3 of these. So character. No, avatar name. And there's 3. And that'll do. So that's first, last, and nickname. Should have 3. Once they are given to the character, they cannot be changed under any circumstances. That nickname there is what you will be known as online. This has to be set out to the player at creation time. That once they've chosen a name, it can't be changed. It's static. It's gone. You can't change it ever again. So that gives you a continuity check error for people logging in and typing their names in. That becomes interesting. Do they have to be unique? No. Because what you can do is you can add to that. Actually, no, it's 4, isn't it? And that's plus code generated by us, by the program. There's your security for your character. And they will need to know their experience points. So that's float. And I'll have... Oh, Nano, what are you up to? Nox. No experience, yeah. Don't base it on the items. I wouldn't base it on the items. As you'll see, on this type of system that I'm showing you here, everything's based on how the player has full control. If you base it on items, then all you're doing is you are going to create a role-playing game that is going to be a grind. Because as soon as you... EverQuest suffered this initially. When EverQuest came out, you would find queues of people lining up to kill one creature. And that spawned every 24 hours or something stupid. And they would sit there and line up for weeks just to get the drop, because that drop was better than any other drop. Look back at the history of EverQuest before you do an item-based system. But I know what you mean. I totally agree with it. But then your item system may develop into the focus of the game instead of the character. The focus of the game should be the character. What we have to do as programmers or game developers at this point in time, I've got to stop being a programmer now and I've got to be a game developer. Because at this point in time, when you get to game development, what you've got to look at is what we know and what the players know and how we can invest interest from the player. Tell them too little, not going to be interested in looking at whatever logs you give them. Tell them too much, and that will become a focus of the game. The focus of the game is the actions that they take, and every action they take, there should be an equal and opposite reaction. That should be the focus of the game. That's a role-playing game. If you say hello to somebody and start chatting to them at the bar, you may be mistaken as a friend of that person. The enemy of that person may then attack you and mug you down the back street afterwards to find out what you know. Think about it. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. That's an RPG. An RPG is a living thing. If you're making a game, yes, you can make it based, item-based system. That's absolutely fine. But it's not going to be a role-playing game. It can't be. It'd be impossible unless you put an awful lot of work into it. Alright. This brings me to factions. Very cutely. I think I've covered enough here. Float, I'll put experience points, which can be spent, obviously. That's it, really. I can't think of anything else. Oh, yes. We also need to know, and this is the only... No. I'm actually just thinking, do we calculate the total amount of experience points that the character is worth? Because that will give us a basic indication of how good the character is compared to other people. But if you give them a stat, that's going to be awkward. Do we need to know ourselves as a program? Not really. I think that becomes a point there. Oh yes, there is a need for it. Yeah. Sorry, float. We need to know if they're in the negative. Total. I'll call it total XP. That's all earned, banked, and spent XP, because there are abilities that will give you minus. In other words, gives you XP back. So you will have abilities that are plus and minus abilities. If you take a one eye, for instance, as an ability, it is an ability that you can take. It would give you points to spend elsewhere, possibly on a positive ability. You wouldn't take archery. Or you could take archery, I suppose. Does it help with archery? Might do. But you would have no depth perception, so I don't think it does. Ranged attacks would be at a negative. All ranged attacks. Right. I've I've talked enough about statistics and the myriad of statistics that you want to cover for a role-playing game. And you do want to cover that many. If you don't, you want to cover more. I think I'm now at the minimum for a role-playing game. Have I forgotten anything? Let's look through my notes. No. No. Oh, by the way, Nano, is that gun-based, tech level, like today? Or gun-based? Or are you doing a fantasy, like tech level 3? Because I can point you in the right direction for things like that. Let's have a look now. Factions. Oh, God, yes. That brings me on to factions. So, describe that lot. I'm going to keep this, by the way, because I want to do this myself. And make that into a character sheet properly. But, where did I put that? Ah, right, it's here, isn't it? Here we go. I'll bring this back up. This was causing me problems earlier. Okay. This is where the fun starts, because this is where your creativity starts. Alright. What I'm going to use for my factions is going to be the most complicated system I can find. And this way, nobody who plays the game will ever understand it or ever work out how things work out. And if they do understand it, good luck to them. Because what you have to have is a variable faction system. Okay. How am I going to explain this? We're going to have 3 factions, or 3 races. Oops, can't use that. I have to use a pen. Okay. You have to have 3. That's been proven in the past. It's now a proven RPG success. Okay? Quite a few games will use this, where if you have 3 opposing factions, nobody wins. You can't. It's nigh impossible. When you have 2 opposing factions, one can dominate the other. In this, domination usually doesn't happen because 2 factions will always gang up against the third, and then things will just go round like a cycle. Or things will change, diplomatic stuff will change, but that's outside the game, that's outside of your development, that's outside of anything you can do, that's metagame, that's nothing to do with us, what we're programming. Now, each race has, for ease of whatever, just for easiness, we'll have male and female. Which equals 6 avatars to choose from. Well, base avatars. Okay. So let's take race 1. They have a male. So 1M. What we're going to do is we are going to pit them against, beautiful line, 2 females. A line means enemy. And the 2 females, we are going to, this gets funny. No, 1 male, yeah, that's right. 2 females, yeah. I'm just trying to remember where the line goes next. Goes over here, doesn't it? Yeah. So this goes down to 3M. Now, where does this go? This goes up there, I think. Yeah, I think I've now got enough. How many points have I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. Oh, that's a shame. Somebody's going to get left out. Why don't I get 6? Have I done it wrong again? Yeah, probably. 3M goes back to 1F. See, it doesn't even fit on the diagram. 1F goes to 2M. 2M, I'll have to take that line out because I've done it wrong. Because I'm a muppet. You can see what's coming up next, can't you? 1F, 2M goes to 3F. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I didn't do it right, did I? Never mind. So there are your lines of hatred or enemies. So these people are the enemies of 1F and 3F. Females of the other two teams don't like them. Males of the other two teams don't like them. But you can see what's happened here, can't you? You take the opposite gender of the other two teams and they are your enemies. It's quite interesting because it makes the other member of that team neutral. So if you're male, the other males are neutral to you. You can talk to them without fear, or depending on your reaction bonuses, your socialness. Within your own faction, so your faction, we've dealt with enemies now. Your faction will give you a social status which can be improved, usually with an amount of money involved. Social status and an income. You cannot play a role-playing game without some kind of income being given to you, and this is where a lot of them fail, because you'll see people saying, oh, I'm going to go and grind for gold. If you give them the ability to raise their social status and get a bigger weekly income from their social status, well, I'm very, very sorry. Why would they need to grind for gold? At some point, you should have enough money to do what you want. With social status, you may have to have land to gain that social status. So the requirements for gaining social status, I'll put it in, Brian. Gaining social status basically works on I'll call it land. This isn't working. I'll call it holdings. That's what it is. Because you actually could be more than that. Land, houses, industry. Yeah, you can build factories. Why not? Total XP value of character. Expenses per week. Yeah. If you hold all of that lot there, you've got expenses per week. Even if it's just taxes. And maybe a lump sum. Yeah. One off. And that's how you would gain. You would have to tick all of these boxes. And then your social status will go up +1. Which will then give you all the benefits of income per week and expenses, of course. To maintain. Expenses to maintain. Yeah, never going to get that on. God damn it. To maintain. How many of these have I designed? You wouldn't want to know. Actually, just the one. Because you only need the one. And that's it. I think I've nearly covered everything. So we've now got enemies, we've now got players who hate each other, we've got players who talk to each other quite happily. Nobody knows anything about all of this at all at the start of the game. There is no manual. There is no stats. You will gain an avatar. You can look at the avatar's log of achievements. Yes, achievements. And you may want to register or look at the training register for training things. So you can... The problem with... The first problem that you develop is, what can I do? You can do anything you want, but I don't know what I want to do. Give them a goal. So give them something easy to start with and say, do that, like, I don't know, create a fire spell that'll light a campfire. Or no, go camping. Just think how many skills are involved in that. Survive in the wild for 3 days. Yeah, that'd be an interesting one. I bet they couldn't. You could actually dump them in the middle of nowhere and say, survive. We think there may be population in that direction. You're going to have to survive as you get out of the forest. Quite see how many characters don't survive. Even the basics. Oh my god, they'll probably die of starvation or something. Go the wrong way. So yeah, I think I've virtually covered everything. The only other thing I want to leave as a reminder for myself is we need some kind of log achievements. We need to be able to create. We need a system for create new items, skills. You design your own skills. You may as well. Climbing is obvious, but they might not call it climbing. They can call it whatever they want. They might call it rock hopping or something. Just because they call it rock hopping doesn't mean it's anything else but climbing. Anything else I can think of there? Yeah, it was in here. Here. Abilities, skills. Yeah, that comes under log. Magic comes under log. Abilities comes under log. Possessions. Yeah. You will need also like a possessions. Oh, I can't do this, can I? I don't know which one it is. Possessions and holdings. Can have skills there and log achievements there. So yeah, I think we can do that. That might work. I think I can do that. Because that's your programming there, right there. All the programming you need to do to activate the system is that. And that will use all that data that I've put down. There will obviously be basic equipment and basic skills already written within the world. If they want to use them, it's up to them. But yeah, it'll be interesting. First person to fire a gun, that'll be interesting. Especially if they make it themselves. Think about that one. What could go wrong? Oh, I want to be there watching that day. That's the kind of things that I would like to do. Some people say it's over detailed and it makes it too hard for the player, but you find out that it oversimplifies things and makes it very easy for the player, because players won't be thinking about it at the same level as the programmer. The player has a very easy time of it. All they have to do is look at their log of achievements, have a look. Oh, training, that's what I bloody forgot. Told you I forget something. Oops. All they have to do is look at the retreat, at their book of knowledge, and look at their pages about themselves. Have an index which you can click on. It goes to pages, tells them all about these things on one page, and on the next page it'll give you a form to fill in to create a new skill, form to fill in to create a new item, form to fill in, no, it'll just give you the list of your current skills and a form to fill in for training. So you've got 1, 2, 3 forms, list skills. No, that's create new, isn't it? Yeah, how to create new skills. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you'll have some lists, how much you're worth, basically. God knows what it'll mean to anybody. And create new can have the instructions on the left page and the form to fill in on the right page. Very simple stuff. It's not really that difficult to do. It looks as though you are making a database when you're not. You're making completely the opposite. Because as you see, I separated it all off. All the tables are hidden behind here, the int. The cost tables are, or how much things cost to increase in XP. Everything needs an experience point at least to be able to increase it. Some things you cannot directly increase, and that will go from here, where it says others are. All are calculations. These are all calculations. I have the calculations for each of them. Some of them are simple, some of them aren't. But a computer doesn't care, it's good at them. So the list in blue is all calculations. They can't be changed. So the only things you can change are attributes, a couple of secondary attributes, skills, magic, abilities, and possessions. Yeah, those are the only things you can change. So there's not really much when you think about it that you can change. You only need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tables. And everything else after that is just like items, as Nanohard was saying, that can be either purchased or found. With this being such a simple system, it should be able to be very easy to program, as far as I'm concerned anyway. I mean, we've got this page that we can use. All you've got to do is split it in half and put on the left hand side the details and on the right hand side the form to fill in. It's not hard. Do that using with these widgets. I might do it. I might do it. If you want me to, that is. It's as simple as that. I'm more than willing to do more into our RPG systems, because the initial parts of the RPG are so simplistic, it's untrue. And that's how you get rid of all the errors. If you never ever wondered how you do it, that's how you get rid of errors in a program. So there we go. I'd be happy to do something along those lines. Generate an avatar book, because that's all you're doing. That's a table, that's a table. Yeah, I can do it, I can do it. Yeah. Alrighty. I think, what we're up to now, 1:33. I've meandered around a little bit there in the middle, but I do think I've covered everything from start to finish about data, even factions and the rest of it. I haven't shown the tables and how they interact, but the tables are critical, because the tables interact. This is just static data, or, well, sort of static data. It's the tables that do the work. They're the rules. So I'll leave it at that. And I'll change this SFML over to RPG, because I haven't got it in this one, have I? Alright, not a problem. In the meantime, I'd like you all to take care. I thank you all for popping by, and hope you have a good day. I might just go and do some XCOM, so don't worry, I might be back in a minute or two. But take care, have fun.